All right, y'all, we are back with another video. We got Candace Owens. Now, this one here was another one that was sent to me by y'all, and this one is called, by Candace Owens, Black Americans. Stop blaming white people for your problems. Now, as a lot of y'all know how much I love me some Candace Owens. Like I said, this woman tells it like it is, and sometimes she say things that you might not like. And I said before, the truth hurts. This woman is going to speak her mind, regardless of what color you is. She's going to tell you like it is. Like I said, make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Shout out to everybody that's been showing so much love to the channel, leaving positive comments, and even everybody that just clicked on this video for the first time. I really appreciate you. Like I said, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and let's dive straight into this and let's see what Candace has to say.
It's important that we understand that you will never hold what you hate. That's a very important concept, so I'm going to repeat it again. You will never hold what you hate. You cannot have what you hate and what you're naturally conditioned to believe is wrong, right? Mm-hmm. If you hate rich people, you're never going to have wealth. It doesn't work like that, okay? So when people tell you to be bitter and to be angry because somebody has more than you, what they're telling you to do is to accept poverty as a natural state, to never go after and to never have more. If people are telling you that you should hate white people, you're never going to have peace and integration. You can't speak out of both sides of your mouth. You can't say that you hate a particular race, but you wish for there to be peace. Mm-hmm. For all of the women in here, we've watched probably the ugliest version of feminism that we will ever live through, which is what's going on in this country today. Radical left-wing feminists who teach us that we should hate men. Well, let me tell you something. If you hate men, you're never going to have a family if you're a woman. You're never going to have a stable, loving family if they're telling you to hate and reject the things that it takes to make a stable, loving family. I've thought so much over this past couple of years where it has felt a bit like a rocket ship to go from a girl on YouTube just saying what I believe to being on this rocket ship and having a platform to speak to so many people, yeah. Right? And to be so attacked personally. And I don't say that as a victim. I say it as a point of interest. Like, a girl can get up and make a YouTube video and start to question things on the left, and to watch overnight my reputation go down the drain, to watch them, refer to me as a house Negro, to say that I hate my own race, which is pointedly ridiculous. You know, Candace, do you have any black friends? I don't need black friends because my family's black, in case you missed it, right? Everyone around me is black. My dad's in the front row there. Dad, stand up.
There you go. There you go, right there.
Fact check, true. My dad's black. See, no one believes me. But these are the things that they do, you know. They accuse you of sympathizing with white supremacists if you develop conservative principles, if you have the audacity to think for yourself. And think about how pointedly ridiculous that is. What black person in America would be a white supremacist? Think about that. Why would I want to help build a society that I can't live in? It's ridiculous. That is the stuff. Last year, I think in the highest point of ridiculousness, they accused me and my rhetoric of inspiring a mosque shooting in New Zealand. I mean, this is how high the stakes are. When you become a minority that ordains to not only think for themselves, but to speak for themselves, mm-hmm. to speak out and to remind people, I'm not a slave, okay? You can't tell me what to think. You can't tell me what to do. You're allowed to disagree with me.
There you go.
I come to you guys because I think that the stakes are high. I think that they've never been higher in America. When we start talking about people that are demanding socialism and relying on the lack of education that people have because of our poisonous school system to push through terrible, terrible policies. And if you think it can't happen to America, look at Venezuela. Look at how quickly it happened to Venezuela when socialism took hold. I often think about what the left is after through all of these various entities of crazy that they've established, right? I mean, women can be men now, men can be women. You can pick your gender. No, you can't, okay? You just can't. You're born either male or female. That's it, right?
That's right. That's a fact.
When I think about feminists going out there and speaking against men and making it this era of Me Too, right? And it's got to be really scary to be married now. What is the left after? What are they after? The answer is simple. They are after the breakdown of family. The breakdown of family. Everything destroys family, right? When you get women to hate men, you can no longer have a strong family. And why do they want to break down the family? When you get men to want to be women and say that's woke, that's amazing, that's progressive. When you tell women that there's something fundamentally wrong with wanting to stay at home and raise children and telling them they need to go work and climb the corporate ladder and forget about having children, right? Which, by the way, being a mother has got to be the toughest job in the world. I have to imagine raising good human beings has got to be the toughest job in the world, right? When they say there's something wrong about that, there's something oppressive about that, that is them trying to break down the family, the nuclear family. So the question then becomes why? Why? The answer is because you cannot grow government when there is a strong family. You can't. They have to break down the family. And before they break down the family, they have to break down the institution of religion. They need to make sure we believe in nothing but the government as a solution to every single problem we have. This is why the left routinely mocks God. I've never seen it. It's strange. It is. You don't have to be religious, but there's something really wrong when it becomes funny to mock people that believe in something bigger than themselves, right? You take a look at the things that they say, and that's what it's all about. It all points to trying to create an industry of government dependence. The experiment was Black America. We know how government dependence works. Okay, we know how welfare worked out.
Preach,
$22 trillion have been deposited into the welfare industry, and Black Americans are poorer today than when welfare began. It was a scam. We lost, okay? When you incentivize bad behavior, you lose. When you incentivize women not to marry the father of their children, you lose. This is what we have to change. We cannot allow them to socialize America. It's gone too far. I hold this issue close to my heart for reasons that didn't make sense to me when I was growing up. I know many of you have heard me speak about my grandfather, who is just the most incredible person in the world. He is from North Carolina. Fayetteville, North Carolina. Everything that he lived through was to give me the opportunities that I have today. My grandfather growing up in a sharecropping farm, my grandfather picking cotton, my grandfather laying tobacco out to dry in an attic in Fayetteville, North Carolina heat when he was just 5 years old, right? My grandfather, though, never complaining. Growing up with the real KKK, right? Shooting bullets into his home. My grandfather not having the opportunity to go to school because he had to work. He went through all of that so that I could live the life that I lead. And when I think about growing up in his household, which he cared about God first and foremost, was the number one rule. We had to sit around the table and read the Bible every morning for breakfast. That's what he believed in. He really did. And I was embarrassed of it when I was a kid, so we applaud now, but I was so embarrassed of it. I really was. My grandparents were so religious. Everything was a prayer. You could do anything, and my grandfather would turn it into a prayer. He really would. And I used to believe that he had the magic.
One thing I can say, man, is shout out to Candace. Like, she is such an excellent speaker, man. Like, on that microphone, she is an excellent speaker. It's her and there's a lot of more. It's like her, you got Charlie Kirk, you got, like, I mean, it's a lot of them. Jordan Peterson, Shapiro, like, it's a lot of them, man. They are just so great on the microphone. And with her telling the story, it's unfortunate and sad, like, about, like, you know, what her grandfather had to go through, you know, growing up and stuff like that. But like she said, though, he made a way for her. And now you see how Candace is. She is going to speak her mind. She's going to tell you what is going on in the world and stuff like that. And that's why I got so much respect for Candace. And another thing that I would say is, man, I would love, like, if Candace was to try to run for president, I really think Candace has a chance to win. That's just me personally. I'm just saying if she was to run, I think Candace will have a good, you know what I'm saying, a good chance of winning, man. Like, cause she's just such an excellent speaker, and like the way she talk, you can tell she's going to get. If she says she's going to do something, you can tell she's going to do it. Cause Candace stands by what she say, and that's one thing I have to say about that. And another thing that I hated, like what she was saying about how a lot of black people thought that she turned on us and she for the white people, getting called a house Negro and these Uncle Toms. Yeah, if y'all been watching me for a while, y'all know I hate this Uncle Tom and house Negro. I hate those names. Anytime you don't agree with somebody black, the first thing they call you is a house Negro or Uncle Tom or you for the white people. Like that stuff is just, oh my, it literally just pisses me off just to, when people say that. Like, come on, just because I disagree with you, I'm an Uncle Tom? Because I don't agree with you, I'm an Uncle Tom. Like, come on, man. But like I said, shout out to Candace, man. Like I said, she does a great job. And I will always continue to support her.
And I'll never forget really believing my grandfather had a direct line to God. That as soon as he put his head down, God would hear whatever my grandfather told him. And it would terrify me when I was a kid because when I got into trouble, he would work us into the prayers. And there was one night where I was cold and I jumped up and in my formative years, I lived in my grandparents' home and I turned up the heat. And that was a big no-no in my granddaddy's home. You do not turn up the heat in the middle of the night. And I had to have been all but 8 years old. And my grandfather, I came down in the morning for the big Southern breakfast that he would fix us every morning. And I said, good morning, because if we didn't say good morning, we didn't get a plate. He would not serve us a plate because he was all about respect first and foremost. And then my grandfather worked me into one of his prayers that morning, and he said, dear God, please help Candace to realize she shouldn't be touching the heat. I was 8, so I jumped up and I ran upstairs crying hysterically. And my grandfather followed me, and I said, Granddad, why did you have to tell God? Couldn't we just keep this between us? I laughed at that story because it was just, I really believed it, and it really speaks to the values and the rules, so many rules that we grew up in my grandfather's home, and he loved his family so much. My grandmother really, he was in control of the house, but she was in control of the house. You know what I mean? That special relationship where the woman is in control of the house. So my grandfather would say something wasn't happening, and my grandmother would shoot him a look, and then he'd wake up the next day, and suddenly exactly what she wanted to happen was happening in the household. I grew up in that feeling that I talk about in the 90s eras of the Winslows, of the Cosbys, and the number one thing that my grandfather put into my heart was that I wasn't a victim. I didn't learn how to be a victim. My grandfather, my parents, I was never told I couldn't do something because of the color of my skin. I just wasn't taught it growing up. And I didn't realize that this would become an issue as I got into the real world, that I was supposed to think like a victim because of the color of my skin. My grandfather, after our formative years and being in Connecticut and raising his family, retired back down to Fayetteville, North Carolina, where he lives today, and he purchased the sharecropping farm that he grew up on.
Wow. Purchased the sharecropping farm that he grew up on. Wow. Man. I mean, just listening to Candace's story, it's like it has you tuned in. You like, wow, she went through some stuff when she was young, but obviously you can tell she learned a lot from her grandfather. She learned a lot, and obviously you can still see it. She still love him. She's still happy for him. She telling us and stuff like that, a lot of the stuff that he went through, what she went through when she was younger, and it's just great to hear about Candace, man. Let's go.
That is what's on the line. That is an example of the American dream.
Yep.
That you can start anywhere in this country, no matter your race, your color, or your sex. But if you follow some simple rules, right? If you work hard, and if you stay out of trouble, if you have children after you get married, this country will reward you. That's what America is all about. We've never cared about people's skin color since I've been growing up, and yet suddenly people believe that it does matter. That's what we have to fight to protect. The American dream is what I work day in and day out to fight to protect. Because I want to make sure when I wake up, when I have children someday, that it's the same exact America that I grew up in. I want to make sure every person in this room remains hopeful. If you are a minority, know that you're not alone. You're not. We are not alone. There is not just one black conservative in this world. There's not. I might be making a lot more noise than the other ones, but there are plenty of us, and it's time for us to take a stand and start talking about the values that are actually going to transform our future. And I will wrap this up by reminding you all that we're free. So go be free. God bless you. Thank you so much for coming.
Wow, that right there was great. That was great, man. With her getting up there talking about this stuff, like letting all of us know, hey, man, we in this country. We all can do what we want to do. Just put our mind to it. So we got to stop with this white privilege stuff that some people still think exists. Like I said before, whatever a white person like today can go do, you can do it too. Ain't nobody saying you can't do it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, come on, man. But like I said, it was a great video by Candace. Shout out to y'all for sending it to me, man. Like I said, I love being dialed in and tuned in when she get on that microphone, because I know every time she get on that microphone, she finna say something that I haven't heard before. And like I said, I've learned a lot listening to Candace. I've learned, so much. I learned so much listening to her. And like I said before, you are never too old to learn. You're never too old to learn, all right? But like I said, we have made it to the end of the video. Make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.